Hello and welcome to Ukraine Today. This is Viewpoint, and joining us in the studio today is Morgan Williams. He is the president of the US-Ukraine Business Council. Mr. Williams, thank you very much for coming in to Ukraine Today.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
And your NGO is based in Washington. So my first question is, what sort of business opportunities are people in Washington looking for in Ukraine?
Yes, the U.S.-Ukraine Business Council is headquartered in Washington. Started in 1995, and it also operates here in Kiev. So we've been around for 20 years promoting business development in Ukraine, promoting Ukraine as a place to do business. And, of course, we have this constant battle to make it an easier, better place to business.
And how's that battle going now since this new pro-Western government came in?
Well, we find that things are getting much better. Lots of large U.S. businesses came here over 20 years ago. They've been operating here in the agriculture business, IT, tourism, pharmacy, consumer goods, law firms. They're been here for a long time, and they like it here, and they've been adjusting to the environment here and very supportive of the changes that's been made. So there's a very strong, long-time interest from the United States business.
So there's a positive kind of message now in Washington, because before, when you had the previous regime under President Yanukovych, people were very skeptical, the Soviet-style kind of corruption. Is that still the same? Are people still a bit hesitant about investing in Ukraine from the people that you've spoken to?
Well, the new government, of course, is much more, we'd call it much more modern. They're much more internationally oriented. Many of them, of course, speak English. And,
like Finance Minister Yuresko.
They've been to Europe and the United States many times, and they're more than willing to meet with business people. So the atmosphere here is much more hospitable, much more friendly. American business would like to see more changes here in terms of the bureaucracy and
is that the
rules and regulations.
Bureaucracy and corruption, is that the main challenge, you
I think the main challenge here is because your macroeconomic stability is much better. These companies have been here for a long time. Yes, they would like to see a dramatic drop in corruption, much more modern Western legal system where you don't kind of pay off the judges, and a lot less bureaucracy. It's still very difficult to do business here, but nobody really wants to leave. It's a large market. It's a good market, and Americans have been investing here and doing a lot of corporate social responsibility, supporting the Revolution of Dignity, supporting the military, and supporting refugees. And when the crisis hit in Crimea and eastern Ukraine, most of them kept their employees. They moved them to other parts of Ukraine, so they've been doing everything possible to support Ukraine.
And what's the benefit for the United States businesses in investing in Ukraine? Because the US is actually investing a lot in Ukraine in terms of loan guarantees. We have the IMF bailout fund as well, which runs into billions of dollars. So with all of this, what is the US hoping for, do you think?
Well, the United States companies are very internationally oriented. Many of them work in 40, 50, 60, 70 countries. You know, you've got over 40 million people here. It's just a great market,
isn't it?
So it's a good place to do business. And so naturally they're interested in this, particularly in agribusiness. And so they've been working here, and we expect, I think, a pretty significant increase in American business interest here over the next few years.
Yeah, and the US-Ukraine Business Council, how does your organization try to influence US lawmakers, other US businesses to invest in Ukraine? For example, do you do lobbying, or is it just
we work with a lot of US businesses, and of course we work very closely with the US embassy here, but also with the Ukrainian embassy in Washington. So our first place that we do work is with the U.S. government and the Ukraine government in Washington. We hold meetings with all the top leaders that come from here. We keep our members informed, and we try to let them know, yes, Ukraine is still okay.
Yeah, it's open for business.
The crisis is only in eastern Ukraine. It's safe and great in the rest of the Ukraine, because sometimes the TV image distorts what's really going on.
Well, this is what people see,
here.
isn't it? On the TV, they see images of war, but actually, the majority of Ukraine, at least 95% of it, is open for business. There's still a lot of opportunities.
One top U.S. business leader came recently, and his company had to check out for several months of security here to make sure it was okay for the guy to come.
Yeah.
We kind of laughed about it, but it's kind of evidence of the perception sometimes about the risk here. But U.S. businesses, again, are very pleased to be here, and we help them when they have problems. We help them by getting them in touch with our government and with the Ukraine government. So we meet with all the ministries.
Yeah.
We work on export issues. We work on VAT issues, tax issues, intellectual property rights. All these
types.
Just
a broad range of things, then.
A whole range. Import, export, the customs service, all these kinds of little blockages that make business more difficult. We're always trying to work on improving those.
And now Ukraine is talking about reforms, especially in Odessa. This region seems to be leading the way, I guess, and there's still a very, very long way to go. But from the people that you've spoken to in Washington, are they optimistic about these reforms, or are they still kind of very skeptical?
Well, they're still very optimistic because they feel very strongly that this is the best government Ukraine's ever had. You have a lot of, again, very well-educated, Western-oriented, internationally oriented people here that want to move Ukraine toward Europe. And the whole atmosphere is different. We used to have ministers that come back to Washington. They wouldn't meet. They would give you a Soviet speech. They would be very cold. They weren't very open. That whole thing has changed. Your Minister of Finance, Minister of Agrarian Affairs, Minister of Economic Development, all been back to Washington. Prime Minister, been very well received. Yes, the United States would like to see more changes here, and so would Europe. And I think there would be more support. They're kind of saying, you need to change Ukraine. You need to show us that you're going to have a better business environment and show us you're going to reduce corruption, and then we will support you more. But our Secretary of Commerce was just here.
Just recently,
with the delegation, with a very positive message. And the positive message was we're still totally behind Ukraine. We think this government is the right one to move Ukraine forward, and we just want them to do more in that area in the next few months.
And America still has a very sort of low input into Ukraine compared to Europe. So where do you see the biggest opportunities for American businesses in Ukraine? Is it the agricultural sector, or is it steel exports, IT? What sort of areas?
Well, right now, I think for the next year, the biggest area that American companies are interested are in terminal facilities down on the Black Sea.
Terminal facilities.
Most all of our big grain companies, they'd like to have new facilities, remodel facilities, expand facilities. So most all of our big grain companies and food processors are now looking at that area. And I think it's important for the Ukraine government to meet with them regularly to speed up the process. Still too long between you say, I want to invest $400 million in a grain elevator, and you actually
hand over the cash, I guess.
And create jobs. Still too long a process.
How long does it take, actually?
Well, sometimes it takes a year or two.
And that's too long?
Before you get the property rights and everything you need. I think the Ukraine government could speed that up. There's a lot of interest, again, in the whole agribusiness area. There's interest in IT. There's still interest in travel and tourism, consumer goods. The interest in real estate could come back.
Okay.
But,
it's very interesting. Just have one last very quick question for you. We have the American presidential elections coming up very soon. Do you think that there'll be a change of stance towards Ukraine if, for example, Trump gets in, or Hillary Clinton? Do you think it will remain stable or not?
We talk a lot to our political experts, and they think that with the strong support that Ukraine has on Capitol Hill, with the Senate and the House of Representatives, that no question, whoever the next president is, Democrat or Republican, there will be a much stronger support for Ukraine, much stronger support for Europe, and a much more aggressive confrontation with the expansion that Russia seems to be involved in I think that will increase substantially no matter who is president.
Well, Morgan Williams, thank you very much for coming into Ukraine today. That was Morgan Williams. He is the president of the US-Ukraine Business Council. This was Viewpoint on Ukraine Today. Now, back to the news.